The community involvement in terms of finance. Because as a community, we buy Sasol shares, we buy other shares and so forth. Can't we afford the community to put something, even if we sell shares from as little as 200 Rand? I think that will take us far in order to work on this project. Number two, can't we look at revamping the hospital perception considering the budget? For example, we can say 2020, 2021, let's look at emergency, 2022, 2023, let's look at maternity and so forth. I think it will take us somewhere instead of just coming here, talking, someone is leaving, others are leaving. It's not taking us anywhere. MEC, you said the current structure takes 280 beds, and according to NHI, you need 400 beds. So can't we extend the sustainable structure that we have with 120 beds in order to fast track?
Have you got a time frame for this? Have you got an idea when we will start with this?
One, you talked about patient experience. Your predecessor introduced electronic filing system, so I'm not sure what you're doing with that project, because that should have fast-tracked your patient experience. One of the responses in the House from your predecessor to me was that the demolition itself is going to cost 120 million rand. What has now happened to that? That was 2 years ago. The 5 million you're paying the hospital for security, please can you make sure we are being covered in terms of what that goes to, but can you make sure that the security doesn't do their own things at this home? The second thing, this hospital had a nurse's home. What's going to happen to the structure in terms of the nurse's home? Because obviously you've got a shortage of health professionals in this country. So are you going to reopen that as well? And my last question, I want to build on the lady here. When Member Lisufi talked to the community in the Kempton Civic Center, there was a report which I requested, which we should publicize to the community of Kempton Park, that did a research in terms of the structure to determine whether you should renovate or rebuild. Can that be publicized to the community of Kempton Park?
Ms. Anne, I have lived in this area in Van Riebeck Park 50 years. Before the hospital was put up here, so this hospital means a lot to me. My daughter was born here the first year it was opened.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I think while we're gathered here, we want the hospital to be open. We don't want a new hospital, because that will take another 5 years to be.
Good morning, my name is Madeleine. We've lived here for 40 odd years, had many operations in this hospital as well. And I think I can speak for a lot of people in this area. We desperately need this facility. And I want to thank you firstly for coming out here this morning and doing what you're doing, because everyone standing here, this is not a political thing, this is a community thing. And we appreciate what you guys are doing for us. This is a fantastic start of what is building up to. I want to add to this lady's question regarding the structure. This structure was built to last. And I'm just wondering for myself, it's a question that comes up, that we know that stuff that gets built in these days, they use cheaper stuff. They use stuff that might not be as strong as this, that's going to last another 40 or 100 years as this one has. So I would just suggest the same, just to add to say, isn't this structure built to last like for 100 years, instead of breaking it down and putting up a new one that might give in at one point, because it's
the size of the hospital, would it be the one that would be accommodating the number of patients that are in need?
This building is a sound structure, and I'm sure that a new report must be done by professionals, and then the bill of quantities and the report from the engineers and the architects must be available to the public at large.
I hear good suggestions. I think the one on I'm not sure what to call it, segmentation.
Yes.
It's a very good suggestion.
Yes.
It might save cost.
Yes.
And it might, but we also need to just to see which section maybe we need to start. But it's a good suggestion that we need to introduce into the whole project. I'm certain that in terms of access to information, the report can be availed, but we just need to check. But I think the laws of the country, they normally allow that we actually open up the thing. I think the Meneer van Niken, actually said that he would also want to see and ascertain if the bills of quantities actually they do make sense. I take the suggestion on the environment that we need to keep it up, kept up. I think we're told that here it was not even, we're not going to be able to even sit here. It was cleaned up before for the meeting. But it's something that we need to make sure that we do. We'll also look at the issue of the security. On the issue of nurses, there is a clear strategy on how we're going to deal with issues of actually nurses and in terms of increasing the numbers. So it's something that we are going to be doing, and there's, I think starting from next year, 2020, there's a new way and a new system that's going to train nurses to fast track the training of the nurses. We have a plan on how we can be able to also utilize doctors in private sector, in private, who will come in and help in the time that they will be able to afford us, just to increase the number of hands into the system. In that fact, I trust the engineers. I'm not an engineer. I'm a gynecologist by profession, so I wouldn't know bills of quantities and everything. But we'll have to open it up and be transparent, because this has been a hot potato, so we must treat it as that and have a transparent way on how we're going to deal with it. Even the time frame will be within that, because if you know what is happening, it will be easier for you to understand where the process is and how far. The 24-hour clinics is one of the crucial things. In my, there's this thing called the first 100 days in office type of thing. So one of the things that I'll be doing is the issue of sorting out our 24-hour clinics, all of them in the province now, before we start thinking about building others. So it's a discussion that we are having, and even expanding those local clinics to become 24-hour clinics. It's luckily, when we met this morning, we discussed it. I spoke to MMC Kagaza, I spoke to MMC Nkosi, that maybe it's time that the province also have a hand on this clinic. Community involvement, we want that. Actually, it's mostly welcome, that we need to do it. In terms of security filing system, yeah, it's a big problem, but we want to digitalize. We want to make sure that everyone can be able to access files quicker, but also to reduce duplication, because other people will find that they've done the same test over and over again in different facilities. But I think all the suggestions that have been given, my email will be available, and on WhatsApp, and also my WhatsApp. So any suggestion, anything that comes in your mind, please suggest. You've got community leaders who have done that now. Let's keep in touch. I think when we come back, we'll come back with a firm report now on where are we starting. I think our interest is to have a hospital here. And our interest is to have a hospital here and as soon as possible. I think that's what we are saying. Whether it's going to be revamped or renovate or rebuild, but we need a hospital here as soon as possible. That's what I'm hearing. So I'm taking that message.